Good day, Dr. Mucho. Good day, classmates. I am here to report and discuss power and influence. Now, let me begin my presentation by presenting to you my objectives that are in the output-based form. The first is to have identified the various sources of power. Second is to have understood the different tactics of influence. And lastly, to have differentiated the four contingencies of power. Now, it is a general belief that the political process funds and creates public organizations. To understand organizations, one needs to understand organizational politics just as much as government needs to understand governmental politics. Now, in the Philippines, a public organization is created through an act of Congress, or government agencies and entities are formed through the passage of a law. It has to be passed through Congress legislatively. Now, an example of this, that one that is close to me, is the Bureau of Immigration, of which I am an employee. The then Commission on Immigration was passed into a law and named Republic Act 9022, or Commonwealth Act 613, or otherwise known as the Immigration Law of 1940. It was passed through the halls of Congress on September 25th of 1940. And I'm very happy that we just received news 2 weeks ago that the passage of an updated immigration law has already been passed through Congress. So hopefully this thing will push through. Now, moving forward, politics in the practice of public management, there are moral and practical implications on the use of power. Power politics are inescapable in organizations, may they be private or public. There is still the presence of politics. All types of organizations involve people using power in politics to influence others. Now, people form coalitions in order to be stronger, to negotiate interests and influence decisions. Now, it is also common belief that in Congress, there are a lot of lobbying groups, such as in the Senate. These groups are pushing their benefactors' interests. Now, it is going to be more advantageous for them if they would form a coalition in order for them to be stronger, in order for their voices to become stronger when they are lobbying for their interests instead of pushing their agendas by their lonesome. So in elections, you also have these coalitions, such as political alliances, wherein sometimes mainstream parties like the Liberal Party in the local scene, the Nationalist Party and the like, sometimes they connive with the extreme left or the extreme right in order for them to unseat a president, most especially a popular president. They feel that it would be to their benefit if this coalition, which oftentimes is just a temporary coalition, is formed in order to unseat a common enemy. Now, moving forward, let us discuss the relationship between power politics and organizational behavior. Now, it is important to get along with everyone in an organization, even for people that you don't like, unfortunately. Now, there is a local term for this. It's called pakikisama. If you assume a post as, for instance, a department or a division chair for a government organization. Before, it is strongly suggested that before you advance your agenda, you need to get a feel first and foremost of the people that form that particular agency, most especially the people that have been there for a very long time already. It is not advisable that you immediately implement your program of action, regardless of whether it is highly imperative for you to do so. In the Philippine setting, it is wise if you first get a pulse, excuse me, of that particular organization, the people, the culture, before you advance your program of action. You can gain power by making others feel important. No? In the Philippines, it is very common for, as part of our culture again, to call people by their titles because people expect it. You refer to lawyers as attorney, you refer to doctors as doctor, you refer to people who have obtained their doctorate degree academically as doctor also. For those who have finished an engineering degree and passed the engineering board as an engineer, and so on and so forth. In the government scenario, you have to address a particular politician as honorable, especially if you are introducing them in a social gathering. Um, it is expected because here people value titles. It is expected that you call them by their titles. Another thing is it would be also to your benefit if you once in a while you send gifts to um, people that you perceive to have asked a favor before, or you are in the process of asking a favor from that person. It's a give and take scenario, which is expected also. Now, another one is you let them know that you are the boss. You consolidate your power. In the government setting, for instance, if there is a shift in the leadership of a particular department, it is best that that particular shift may be accompanied by a document like a personal order. It is also further, it is also best if that particular personal movement is accompanied by a personal introduction to the leadership of that particular organization. This will provide the new leader the credibility that he or she would want uh, people, if they feel that you have not been properly introduced to them, if they feel that your position of power is only temporary, or um, you were not your appointment was not accompanied by a formal or an inter-office correspondence, uh, they will that will not lend a lot of credibility on your part. Thus, your power over them is a little bit shaky. Do favors, manage your favors, and use them properly. Help if you can, and manage these debts of gratitude. Now, I will discuss debts of gratitude more elaborately later. Now, empowerment requires delegation. You have to make them feel important. You have to build trust, their trust and confidence. If they will feel wanted, they will support and trust you. It is very difficult for a leader to demand respect because number one, it is earned, and number two, um, if you want people to respect you, you have to also learn to respect them by trusting them. Now, how to do that would be to slowly delegate tasks to the people that are directly under you. If they feel that you are trusting them and you also feel that they can be trusted, then respect would be automatically mutual. No? If you do not learn how to properly delegate authority, then you will end up doing the things that they are supposed to do. And that is not good because they are paid to do certain jobs. Now, moving forward, reaching out to the other side of the fence. Very recently, Joe Biden won the United States elections over Donald Trump. Now, um, I could vividly recall in his victory speech, he mentioned that, quote unquote, I may have been elected as a Democrat, but I will govern as an American. And that is very good. That is a reconciliatory gesture on the part of the newly elected president to reach out to the other party and send out important signals and messages that his government, his reign as a U.S. president, would that be of a person or a president that looks at the Republicans and not only on the interest of the Democrats. Now, moving forward, do not be dependent on only one person. Build and consolidate your base. No, it is not healthy if you are only going to trust people under you. There are risks involved, I agree, but you have to learn how to manage those risks. Okay, now let us move on to power and organizational politics. Let us first define power as defined by Ott in 1989, and I quote, latent ability to influence others' actions, thoughts, and emotions. On the other hand, the same author quoted politics as the use of power and authority to influence organizational outcomes. Thus, power equals influence, and politics is the use of power. Now, let us elaborate